Now, I want you to remember something really important. It doesn't matter what practice you do if you don't do it consistently. I want to talk about something that a lot of people ask me about. And a lot of people online are wondering, they're searching for something to help them with some somatic exercise or vagus nerve exercise that's going to make them feel better, going to make them come out of this pain that they're suffering from, but whatever form it may be, because it could be chronic pain in your body, it could be depression, it could be existential feelings of not knowing how to orient yourself in life. And I want to share some insight that I have found from years of recovery on my own, but also working with clients for 25 years. So here's my take on that. It's way more important to dedicate yourself to a daily practice, no matter what it may be, until that becomes habit. So to clarify that, I don't think that what you choose initially is actually that important, as long as it's not harmful. I don't recommend that your practice be to take shots at vodka. However, whatever you put in there, it needs to be at least theoretically helpful. You have to do it every day. And I also recommend that if you're starting out with practice daily, that you start extremely small. Because the way that we sabotage ourselves the most is we make it too big because we're trying to, okay, I want to get better, so I'm going to do an hour a day. And then you don't do an hour, and then you feel discouraged and stop. So think about it this way. The best way to start a new habit of any kind is to start embarrassingly small. How about 1 minute, but you actually keep that promise every day? Here's my experience. Once you keep the commitment consistently, it will expand on its own accord. So it has a life of its own if you feed it properly, the habit. And not only will it expand on its own, different things will call to you to put into that time slot or that habit loop in your life. Again, if you practice enough, you'll find yourself being drawn to things. You'll have insights. You'll even innovate eventually if you do it enough. And here's another thing that's so helpful about it. Let's say that you've been practicing faithfully for even months or how about even years. And then you have to do some rehab exercises for your back. Well, you have the time already patterned into your day, don't you? So you can put that into that place. And then it's not a struggle. So you don't have to, I don't know how I'm going to get to it. Well, you already know because you have the habit. The other incredibly important factor in this structure that I'm describing is that most people that try things to get better do not do them consistently enough to know whether they work or not. So the other thing that's kind of really helpful about this habit is that you'll try things and know whether they work or not because you actually did them. There's a real power in that. There's a statistic that really surprised me years ago. On average, people only take their vitamins or medication 50% of the time, meaning that 50% of the prescribed time. So again, if you're taking a medicine or you're taking vitamins, which by the way could be in your habit loop if you want, and you don't do it as prescribed, you actually don't know if it helps you because you didn't do it as often as you should have. So please keep that in mind in your journey to try to figure out what to do next and whether it's going to work for you. Remember, daily commitment, keeping that commitment is the first step. What goes into that commitment loop, that's the second step in terms of a specific thing that you might or might not help. The habit itself is the first step.